Homework number 24. Question number 1 asks you to find the slope of the line that crosses through the points 2, 2 and -1, -2. In order to do that, we need to use the slope formula. With my 2 points, I can label them by assigning this one the values of x1 and y1, and this point the values of x2 and y2. When I set up that giant subtraction fraction from the formula, I do y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1, giving me -4 over -3, which reduces to +4/3. Number 2. Which equation represents a linear function? A function that would have a graph of a straight line. Since there are no graphs here, we can only look at the equations. And equations have to be written in the format y equals mx plus b, where x and y have no powers. So this breaks the rule. This one breaks the rule, and D also breaks the rule. A is a linear function. Question 3 asks you to find the value of x if x cubed is equal to 8. In order to show your steps, you'd have to know the inverse operation of the third power. Every exponent has an inverse of a root. If the power is 3, then the root is 3. So we need to find the third root of 8, or some number times itself 3 times. That would make an 8. You could use your calculator to solve this one. If you're using the calculator that we use in class, then you're going to use this button here that's written in green. So the first thing you would need to do is type the number 3, then type this green second key, then click this exponent button. And by doing so, you'll get the 3 next to the square root sign. Your screen should look something like this if you did it correctly. A little 3 in front of the radical. And the cube root of 8 is 2, because 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So the work that you show is here in blue. Cube root and a cube cancel each other out, and the final answer has no radical sign at all. Number 4 asks which expression is equivalent to 3 to the 5th power. So for all of these, you have a base in the numerator and a base in the denominator. And when you have like bases, you keep the base the same, and you subtract the powers. Like in B, they have the same base, keep the base the same, and subtract the powers. Letter C has different bases, so we can't perform a shortcut here. And letter D has the same base, keep the base the same, and subtract the powers. So for letter A, we would get 3 to the 5th, B would be 3 to the 12th, and D would be 9 to the -2nd. So letter A is the match. Question number 5 shows you a table that represents a function. And then it asks you to choose the statement that describes this as a function. And a function has to do with every input having only one output. But you'll notice that each of these options is asking you to decide between whether this function is linear or nonlinear. And whether something is linear, which means it has a constant rate of change, that means that the pattern of the y's, what's happening here, and the pattern of the x's, what's happening over here, is constant. So let's take a look. 7.5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, so it looks like my delta y is constant. Now let's take a look at our x's. Plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. So our rate of change is constant. That means it's linear. So these are out. Now we have to decide if the function is linear because the rate of change is constant, or if the function is linear because the y-intercept is a constant. And this has nothing to do with being linear. So B is the final answer. Number 6 tells you that triangle ABC is rotated about the origin 90 degrees. It's then reflected over the y-axis. So we know that only rigid motions were used. And when rigid motions are used, we know that the shapes are congruent. So if we have triangle ABC, we know it's going to be exactly the same as triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. So I'm going to clone this. I'm going to call it A prime, B prime, C prime. And let's fill in these measures. One of the angles in triangle ABC has a measure of 115 degrees. Okay, not to scale, but I'll put 115 here. Since I know that these two angles are congruent, that means B prime would have to be 115. It then says that one of the angles in A prime, B prime, C prime is 40. So if I choose this one, that means that A would also be 40. So which is the measure of an angle that's not mentioned in ABC? Well, I can figure out this third angle by using the triangle sum theorem. And that's that 115 plus 40 plus my mystery angle has to equal 180 degrees. So if I already have 155 degrees, then how much more do I need to get to 180? I need 25 more degrees. So A is the final answer. Number 7 asks you which statement about the equation is true. How many solutions does it have? Well, let's take a look. If I distribute on this side, I'll get 6x plus 2. And if I combine like terms on that side, I get 6x plus 1. And whenever you have the exact same variable term on both sides, you cannot have different constants. It's not possible. So that means it has no solutions. And if you weren't sure, you could simply begin to solve this problem by subtracting 2 from both sides, subtracting 6x from both sides, and seeing that this statement is false. Impossible. Number 8. Which statement best describes the value of the square root of 2? Well, we can think of our perfect squares, or we can simply use our calculator and find the square root of 2. Notice this is different than before. There's no little 3 in the front. Square root of 2 is 1.414. 1.414 is not between 0.5 and 1. It's not between 1.5 and 2. It is between 1 and 1.5, but it is closer to 1.5 than it is to 1. Number 9. I'm going to add 3/5 x to both sides. And you have a calculator, so let's practice using that fraction button on our calculator. And I'm going to do 2/3 plus 3/5. Which gives me 19/15. Now I need to add 7. And now I need to multiply by the reciprocal. Oops. 15/19 times 12. will give me 180/19. And if this is not a multiple choice option for you, you can change this into a mixed number by doing 180 divided by 19 and getting 9. So I know that I can go in 9 times. Now I have to figure out what's left over. 19 times 9 is 171. So that means I have 9 left over to get to 180. Number 10, we're going to get 3/4 x minus 2 plus 4 equals 2x minus 8. So 3/4 x plus 2 equals 2x minus 8. I think this time I'm going to subtract 3/4. 2 is equal to 2 minus 3/4 is 5/4. I'm going to add 8. Gives me 10 equal to 5/4 x. Multiply by the reciprocal. X is equal to 40 divided by 5, which is 8. Let's see, number 11. I already know the answer here. I have matching variable terms, but mismatching constants, so the answer is no solution. But here's the proof. If I subtract 4x from both sides, I get a false statement. Number 12 asks us to graph this equation. So my y-intercept is 3, and my slope is 4/1. Up 4/1. Down 4, left 1. Number 13 has no y-intercept, so that means it's 0. And then we're going to go down 4/1. I can graph the other side by going up 4 and left 1. Number 14 is undefined. Right? Like undefined because it's missing the y. So I'm going to touch only the x-axis at -3, and I should be vertical. Number 15 says the area of a square-shaped garden. So I'm going to construct a square here using what I know. Has an area of 324 square feet, but I know that all of the sides are the same. And area is length times width. So the area is x times x, or 324 is equal to x squared. How do you get rid of an exponent? By using a root. So 324 is what I want to find the square root of. Oops. 324 is 18. So each side is 18 feet. Last question. The equation y equals 1.5x plus 29 is used to model the yearly salary of an employee in thousands of dollars, where x is the number of years the employee has worked for the company. What does the slope of the line represent in this situation? Well, this, is the slope. And the slope represents the change in y over the change in x. And we know that y is salary, and we know that x is the number of years. So we know that 1.5 is the increase in the salary. And since it says it's in thousands of dollars, we can say the salary increases $1,500 each year.